Okay, my G's. So I was having a lesson with a client recently, and we're talking about ways to help him get out of, writer's block or creative upset. Yeah. So this video is about leveraging unpredictability and making use of happy accidents. Not unhappy accidents. Like when you've had a wet dream or you weed yourself. That's an unhappy accident. I'm talking about happy accidents, like when they're good accidents. So happy accidents in music. We're talking about ways to set yourself up to get some random hopefully good ideas and sounds going. So I've thought of 5 ways to do this. There's obviously many more, but here are 5 techniques that I use all the time during my sound design and my music production process to allow those happy accidents to happen. Because people seem to think for some reason that I sit down and intentionally write a song and it comes out the way that it should. Like, that never happens. Like, it's always just trial and error, So anyway, leveraging unpredictability, that's the best way to do it. So the first way that you can create some unpredictable patterns, the first kind of way I'm going to show you is during the sound design process. So with Faceplant, for example, or any synth, if you use 2 LFOs and modulate your different, key parameters, your filter cutoffs, your distortion kind of shapes, all that kind of stuff. If you use 2 shapes that are different, you can occasionally find a happy accident where the shapes just so happen to line up in a particular moment that it gives a good tonality, So if I turn this off here, it's kind of all over the place, and if I just have this one on, it's also not the same. But because I've got 2 LFOs doing like 2 different movements, the way they like sometimes cross over and sometimes don't, that gives rise to like new tonalities, and that's like always unpredictable. You're never really going to know what's going to happen. You just kind of draw the 2 shapes in, have 2 different speeds as well, and you never really know what's going to happen with that, and sometimes you can get good results, So that's one way to do it. And a similar thing, while we're still in Faceplant, is you can also do a similar thing with the LFOs, but rather than having 2 separate movements, you have one LFO that modulates the speed of the position of the first one, So a second LFO here with, you sort of set the output to modulate the phase of the first one, and then you see this position line on the first one always skips around here. And so that, like, obviously it doesn't create, like the first kind of method gave you unpredictable tones. It kind of does a bit here, but it's more about unpredictable movements within your patch, So that's another way you get like unpredictable rhythms. So if we take that one for example, because now it's all about resampling. That's the key here, really, to get more unpredictable results, because it's so far you can go within the synth, but at some point you'll have to render things out and to get more more unique ideas going. So the next random idea is to use a way to leverage unpredictability is to use a granular effects plugin, or a plugin that just completely changes the whole audio. I'm not trying to represent Beam specifically. They just sent me the plugin and I've got it, but there's loads of plugins like this that you can use. So I'll use Beam though, because it's kind of what I have. So I'll try, I think there's like, was it Time Warp or something? Yeah, this one, I think a little bit crazier ideas. So just as an example with Beam, here's a preset that kind of changes the sound quite a lot. And it puts in these unpredictable movements and little reverses and things like that, So obviously I had no idea what was going to happen with that. So that's the next method to create unpredictable movements, you know. So to recap then, so far we've got 2 LFO movements doing different things within a patch and creating these crossover moments. We've got 1 LFO modulating another one to create unpredictable rhythms. We've got random granular effects plugins like Beam or anything else to give you new unpredictable sounds. So that's 3 ideas, 2 or 3 ideas already, you know. And then what we can do next is we can try reversing the sound that we've made as well. So if we go back to our original one here, just the kind of sound that we originally bounced out, we could try, maybe we'll double it over so we can have access to the normal one as well. The best way to do this actually is to bounce it out so it will create a new audio file, and then here I can just reverse this one. So I'll reverse just this file down here. So there I heard a little wub down here that I really like. This one sounds really sick, you know, this little part here. So I could use that definitely. That could be a great asset to the bass line, you know. And so that was just unpredictable because that was just reversed. I didn't know what was going to happen. Then the next way to get more unpredictability, create complex movements and resampling to move them around. So basically, it's kind of what I've done here. So with this first, I intentionally chose this bass to bounce out because it's got like a complex rhythm in, you know. So rather than having a simple rhythm, if you design a sound like this that has a complex rhythm, you know, lots of movement going on already, then what we can do is we could move our drums over here and then move the bass over here with them, and then I can just move the actual bass sample around now and listen with the drums. Listen for new ideas like this. And we're just always paying attention to those little micro moments that sound good. So let's keep going. So that's quite nice there. That's quite cool too. So maybe I'll take that as an example, you know? So I've got this part. I feel like it kind of sounded quite cool at the beginning there, you know. So maybe it kind of fits quite nicely with this pattern here then. You know, so I've kind of got this little up and down movement going on here. And I wasn't able to, you know, imagine that myself. Like, who do you think I am? Some, you know, great ideas man or something? Am I the great idea man? I don't know. I just move things and things happen. So yeah, move things and they happen. So that's another way to do it. You know, you've got this complex bass sound and you just keep shifting the timing around, you know, with your drums until you find like moments of joy. And then the final way you can do it is to create gaps and fill the gaps with random sounds as well. So if I wanted to start like a whole nother idea again, using like the original sound that I bounced out, you know, another way similar to shifting the timing, but maybe I can just have a nice big fat gap in there. Let's do it again here. Another little bit longer. Okay, so now I've got a gap in there. I did a video recently about gaps, but we're also going to fill it in, you know, so already, you know, it's changed up the rhythm a bit. But now we can use, like, for example, parts of the granular sound that we made. So maybe I'll take these little reverse kind of noises, you know, and plug those in the holes. Plug up the holes like that, you know. Let's see what happens here then. If I make these actually start at the sort of right time, that'll probably help as well. I'll tell you what would be easier. If I make these a bit longer, for example, maybe just move them up here so that they delete any of the other audio like that, and then okay, so there you've got like you've got an idea. Maybe I can take this other sound that I really liked from before as well, because that was quite a nice part in that gap there, wasn't it? So maybe I can there I've got like a cool idea for a bass line, and it doesn't have to stay like that, it can change, but I'm just showing you the different ways to get unpredictability, my G's. So that's 5 or 6 ways that you can implement in your workflow to let yourself get those happy accidents, not the ones that when you wake up in the middle of the night. I mean, good, productive happy accidents. So those are some ways you can do that, and hopefully that'll help you get unstuck in your creative process, because you're not gonna just be able to create the best grooves and the best ideas just by drawing in the LFOs yourself, or sort of even if you had this idea for a groove in your head and you tried to make it, in reality it's never gonna be as good as if you just sort of went with the flow and listened to what kind of sounds good and then go with that idea, So anyway, that's my video for today, my G's. I hope it was inspiring. I hope it helps you out a little bit. Please make sure you hit the like button. Really appreciate that. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe as well if you're new. And also check out the links in my video descriptions. I've got great preset packs available on my website for phase plant, Serum, Current, Vital. I've got a great Patreon community with a Discord, members helping each other out in there, and also we do feedback live streams regularly as well, so come and join us in our Discord. Also, if you need any one-on-one classes, book in via my online calendar, and hit me up for mastering work as well if you want a really professional finish on your own self-releases. That's it from me today. More from me very soon. Much love.